Hi, I'm Amanda and welcome to the Hot Plate. Today we're getting steamy in the kitchen, making my favorite oven roasted ribs. I love ribs. They're great all year long because they're slow cooked, but something about in the summertime with that savory sweet barbecue sauce that makes them totally irresistible. Now, since I don't have a barbecue in my apartment, I like to use this oven roasted version and they are just as delicious and succulent. So for our ingredients, we have 2 racks of ribs here. Now I like to use the St. Louis style or St. Louis style. They're a pork rib. You could also use baby back ribs, but I like to have a lot of meat on that bone. For our dry rub, and this is the secret to getting all of that great smoky flavor, we've got our smoky ingredients. So in here, we've got 2 tablespoons of paprika, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, we've got 1 teaspoon of cumin, a good, half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then our salt and our pepper. Now, in our savory category, we have garlic salt, about 2 tablespoons of that, and then we've also got 2 tablespoons of dried thyme. Yum. Finally, to give it that sweet caramelized glaze, we've got brown sugar, and we've got about ½ a cup here. Finally, when we move on to our wet rub, which gives it that glaze, sticky finger feeling, we've got my favorite barbecue sauce, which is the Diana's. It's the Gourmet Southwestern. This is so amazingly delicious. It's got a smoky kick, totally addictive. So we're gonna push our ribs off to the side for a second, and we're gonna get working on this dry rub. Now for the dry rub, you wanna make sure that the ribs have time to marinate in the fridge for at least 4 hours. My go-to strategy, just make them before bed the night before you want them. Let them sit for a good 24 hours before you start slow roasting them. You will not regret it. So in our bowl, we're gonna add in our brown sugar. Then we're gonna add in all of these yummy smoky flavors, and then our savory ingredients. This just makes sure that we have a sweet, smoky, savory flavor that kind of makes them ultra addictive. Everyone's gonna be asking for the recipe afterwards. Give them a good mix. And we're just gonna go ahead and just sprinkle on a really generous coating. If you don't like doing dishes, you might wanna line your baking sheet with some tin foil beforehand. All right, now we get to massage the meat. And once you've rubbed it all in, you're gonna notice that the meat starts to get a little bit of a red color from the paprika and the chili pepper. That's what we want. So we're gonna go ahead, cover this with some saran wrap. We're gonna put it in the fridge, leave it for about 4 or 5 hours or overnight if you have the time, and then we're getting ready to start slow roasting. Our ribs have had the dry rub on them for about 5 hours now, which is just enough to penetrate the meat and make sure that we get all of those smoky sweet flavors in there. And now it's time to move on to our slow roasting. So I've got the oven preheated to 325 degrees, and we're gonna add some of our Diana's barbecue sauce, and then we're gonna go ahead, cover them, and let them slow roast for 4 hours. They are gonna get so tender, it's unbelievable. Now you wanna make sure you don't put too much barbecue sauce on right now because we're gonna put on a whole lot more before we finish this cooking process. So now that we have both of our sides nice and coated, ooh, they're just glistening, we have a little trick, and this is gonna help keep your ribs ultra moist while they're cooking for 4 hours in the oven because that's pretty dry. We are gonna add a little bit of water to the bottom of this baking sheet. If you're worried about spillover, you can use a roasting pan as well, but this is just meant to come up about halfway inside the tin. And what that does is it makes sure that the water's steaming and keeping everything moist underneath our tin foil. Perfect. So in they go, 325 degrees for 4 hours. Okay, so our ribs are all out of the oven. They finished roasting for the 4 hours. They are dark, golden, and tender. They're just, the meat's already starting to fall apart, which is exactly what we want. Now, the last step we have is we've got our oven preheated to broil on high. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna char and it's gonna caramelize the top of these ribs so we get that nice barbecue effect. To do that, to make sure it caramelizes properly, we wanna add a little bit more of our barbecue sauce because it's the sugars in that combined with that brown sugar that we put on before that's gonna create that nice caramelization. You want to be careful because this is going to smoke a little bit in the broiler, so if you have any smoke detectors in your kitchen, just be ready to start fanning them with a cloth. So the ribs are covered, they're going into the broiler. We're going to let them roast for probably 3 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to be ready to enjoy. So our ribs are all ready. You can hear them sizzling, it's kind of delicious. All the salt glaze on them is just kind of finished bubbling. We've got really amazing caramelization all across the edge and some of the top parts of our rib, and they are fall apart delicious. See how this tastes? Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, it's smoky, it's sweet, it's tender, it's fall apart goodness. It's exactly what summer should taste like. These ribs are a total showstopper, and because we made them in the oven, they're an all year round treat. Thanks so much for checking out The Hot Plate. Make sure to check out this and all of our other episodes and recipes at thehotplate.com and updates on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thehotplate.